So you still have roads?
We do still have roads, yes. Now in Tennessee, we are getting choice lanes, which are the toll roads. We still have roads that it can use on our interstates, but we are going to like what Florida and Texas has, which are people can choose to pay a small toll to get on basically their toll roads, but they're not the only form of transportation between two areas. And again, that's a libertarian solution, right? It's certainly not perfect, but it's moving in the right direction. But yeah, we still have roads, and we still have a publicly funded police force, and we still have publicly funded schools as well. So, yeah.
So do you have any observations about, like, before you went into it, you probably had certain views about the political process and whatever, and then now that you've been in it for a while, do you have anything, is it, oh, wow, in some respects it's worse than people even realize, but on the other hand, but there are some good people and they're trying to do things right.
And that's exactly it. I mean, the system itself, the incentives are what cause most issues. And then you have obviously bad people that come in and take advantage of those. I don't think you see that nearly as much at the local and probably the state level as you do at the federal level, just because there's not the amount of money and not the amount of power, especially at the local level. It's probably the biggest surprise is actually most of the people in government are decent people that want to do a good job. Sometimes they don't really have political philosophy, and that's kind of what causes the pragmatism that we see. And, we'll do this because it works. Well, the problem is it might work in the short term, but in the long term, it's going to cause more problems. But they're not doing that to benefit themselves. They're just doing that because they see a problem and something that needs to be solved. Obviously, one of the biggest issues is the need to do something no matter what. We just have to do something. Right. And I'm pretty good at saying sometimes not doing a knee-jerk reaction is doing something. Refraining from taking an ill-advised course is actually doing something. And showing patience, at least while you figure things out, that is doing something. But again, it's not the people in the system that are generally bad people. It's just this system that's screwed up, and the incentives that are completely perverse and sometimes do attract bad people. Most of the people I work with here at the county, overwhelmingly are good people trying to just do a good job for their constituents.
Yeah, and is there a sense too in which, especially as it's more local, and especially if it's a smaller community, there's more accountability, if nothing else, that you're going to see the guy next Tuesday in the barbershop or something.
Yeah.
So
I get an earful every once in a while at the grocery store, and that's okay. That's what I'm there for. But I also think that's important, and that's the importance of things like the 10th Amendment and federalism, is the fact that most of the power should remain with your state and your local officials, because they're the people that actually understand their community, and they're the people that feel the heat the most because they're the ones closest to the flame. And I think if you ask me, the biggest problem right now in the United States in our political system is that it's just the federal government has usurped so much power that really should belong to the states and the localities. And by doing so, they've insulated themselves from the people that they represent.
Do you have any theory as to, we can all obviously just look at history and see that did happen, but just like, as an analogy, Congress kind of ceded its war-making authority to the executive branch. And some people explain that, they like it that way, so now they can't get in trouble. Like, hey, go talk to the president. Was there a similar thing with the governors, kind of just letting that happen? Like, is there a symbiotic relationship, or
Well, I was talking with another congressman one day, and he made a brilliant point. He's like, the one thing the Constitution doesn't do that it should is it should either prohibit or strictly limit how the federal government doles out money to the states, because that's what's happened. It's basically the feds bribe the states with their own money. And you can see that happen, everything from education funding, highway funding, all of these things. It's literally our money. Obviously, they print it in many cases, so whatever. But nevertheless, this is money that comes from supposedly the people here in Knox County, here in Tennessee, and then we literally have to beg to get it back. And if there were a constitutional amendment that could fix that, and either prohibit it altogether or put serious constraints on how the feds dole money out, Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of that would change, and even think about things like the federal income tax and all the revenue that goes to the federal government. Look, cut all that out. And if the states, not that we want to tax more, but if these services that the feds are not providing, the states can provide, I think that, and the localities, I think that's much better, at least than the situation that we're currently in. That's what we always hear as libertarians. Well, gosh, if you want to get rid of this, no, I understand what you're saying, is probably a beneficial thing, but either the government shouldn't be providing it, or at least the federal government shouldn't be providing. Think about that. The enormous amount of money to drain on, for instance, Tennessee's economy with all the money that gets taken out through income tax and other things. Imagine what our state would look like if we weren't sending all that money to the feds.